Good morning. I'm Chaplain John Rollison with the Dobbins Air Reserve Base Chapel, and thank you so much for joining us for our Advent devotional reading and lesson from Cru Ministry. Today's lesson begins with a reading from the Gospel of John, chapter 11, verses 25 and 26. And Jesus told her, "I am the resurrection and the life. Anyone who believes in me will live even after dying, and everyone who lives in me and believes in me will never die. Do you believe this?" Jesus had three dear friends, Mary and Martha and Lazarus. Martha, the planner, cooked for Jesus and his friends whenever he came to visit them. Mary always listened and learned from Jesus, and their brother Lazarus often invited Jesus into their home. And when Lazarus became ill, the sisters sent for Jesus because they believed that he could heal Lazarus. After hearing the news, Jesus delayed leaving for 2 days. When the sisters waited for Jesus to arrive, Jesus died. They were stunned, and grief's darkness descended into their lives. And finally, Jesus and his disciples arrived, and Martha saw him first. And feeling the pain of his absence, she cried out, "Lord, if you had only been here, my brother would not have died." She truly believed that Jesus could have healed Lazarus. And to comfort her, Jesus said, "Your brother will rise again." She believed Jesus' words. "Yes," she said, "he will rise again in the resurrection on the last day." Challenging Martha to think in the present, Jesus said to her, "I am the resurrection and the life. Everyone who believes in me will live even after dying, and everyone who lives in me and believes in me will never die. Do you believe this, Martha?" And clinging desperately to her faith, she said, "Yes, Lord. I have always believed that you are the Messiah, the Son of God, the one who has come into the world from God." And afterward, Mary met Jesus and said, "Lord, if only you had been here, my brother would not have died." And Jesus wept when he saw Martha and Mary in the crowd grieving for Lazarus. Some were touched. Others wondered why he waited. It seemed like he had arrived too late. In an awkward moment, he said to them, "Roll the stone aside." And the crowd watched and wondered. Lazarus had died. His life was finished, so they wondered what was Jesus doing. And Martha responded logically, "Lord, he has been dead for 4 days. And will not smell good when you go in there." And Jesus said to her, "Didn't I tell you that you would see the glory of God if you believed?" And praying loudly enough for everyone to hear, Jesus thanked his Father for granting his request. And then he said loudly, "Lazarus, come out." And Lazarus walked out of the tomb alive and wrapped in grave clothing. And to the shocked crowd, Jesus said, "Unwrap him and let him go." And many of the Jews believed that Jesus was the Son of God. Sometimes Jesus seems to show up at just the right moment. Other times it might seem like he's not there at all. Jesus could have met you at the bedside of a loved one and performed a miracle. He could have met you in a crisis and kept you from harm. He could have restored a broken relationship, but instead, perhaps it didn't seem like he was there at all. And even when darkness descends, Jesus can give you hope. In Romans chapter 8, verse 28, we read, "And we know that God causes everything to work together for the good of those who love God and are called according to his purpose." So I would encourage you today to invite Jesus to show you his goodness, even when life hurts, and trust him to be your resurrection and your life. I pray this brought you hope and encouragement today. Until tomorrow, I'm Chaplain John Rollison with the Dobbins Air Reserve Base Chapel.